Mrs. Foster suffers from an extreme fear of being late, which manifests in physical symptoms of stress. Her husband, Eugene, seems to derive sadistic pleasure from deliberately delaying their departures, pushing his wife to the brink of a panic attack. Before Mrs. Foster's trip to Paris, where she plans to visit her daughter and granddaughter, Eugene continues his manipulations. While in the car, Mrs. Foster notices that her husband has forgotten the gift intended for their granddaughter. They return home where Eugene stalls once again. Just before leaving, as they are already in the elevator, Eugene claims he needs to go back to the apartment. Mrs. Foster, stressed by the possibility of being late, hears a strange noise from the elevator but decides to head to the airport, leaving her husband behind. She briefly considers going back but ultimately drives to the airport. During her 6-week stay in Paris, Mrs. Foster receives letters from the household staff, informing her of her husband's absence. Upon her return to New York with an unusual calm, she discovers that the elevator in their home has broken down, suggesting that her husband was trapped inside and died. Mrs. Foster calls for a repairman to fix the elevator, indicating that she is ready to put things in order after her husband's death. Subtle clues in the story suggest that Mrs. Foster consciously chose not to return home when she suspected what might have happened, symbolizing her liberation from the husband who tormented her.